Welcome back to our channel on this beautiful, crisp day. As we dive back into the intricate web of Genoa City, the shadows are growing longer and the stakes are higher than ever. Let us unravel the darkest corners of the human heart in today's deep dive into the psychological warfare tearing our favorite residents apart. The human mind is a fragile construct, often building elaborate fortresses of delusion to survive the crushing weight of its own past sins, and nowhere is this more evident than in the tortured psyche of Matt Clark. For a man whose history is painted in broad, violent strokes of manipulation, cruelty, and sociopathic control, the sudden, desperate yearning for a quiet, peaceful existence is a jarring psychological paradox. Matt has convinced himself, with a terrifying level of sincerity, that a genuine fresh start is possible, anchoring his entire fragile reality to the fierce, intoxicating presence of Phyllis Summers. In his mind, Phyllis is not just a romantic partner. She is a redeemer, a chaotic but brilliant beacon of light that can somehow burn away the monstrous shadows of his past. He desperately wants to shed his old skin, to walk the streets of Genoa City not as a predator, but as a man worthy of love, hoping that the sheer force of his newfound devotion can act as an eraser for a lifetime of unforgivable transgressions. However, the cobblestone streets of Genoa City do not easily wash away the blood of the past, and the suffocating atmosphere of the town serves as a constant, visceral reminder that redemption is a luxury rarely afforded to men like him. Matt's desperate fantasy of domestic tranquility is relentlessly punctured by the omnipresent, terrifying specter of Victor Newman. The Newman patriarch is not merely a man to Matt. He is a psychological monolith, an all-seeing entity whose reach extends into the darkest, most hidden corners of the city. Matt knows intimately that Victor does not forgive, does not forget, and certainly does not allow his former pawns to simply walk away into the sunset. The phantom weight of Victor's control still lingers on Matt's consciousness, a heavy, invisible chain that makes every shadow look like a Newman operative and every unexpected sound feel like the prelude to a devastating retaliation. This deep-seated paranoia transforms Matt's daily existence into a grueling exercise in hypervigilance, a state of mind that is violently tested during a seemingly mundane visit to the Genoa City Athletic Club. The GCAC, usually a sanctuary of hushed wealth and polite corporate maneuvering, suddenly morphs into a claustrophobic psychological trap when Matt finds himself entirely cornered by Cain Ashby. Cain's approach is not casual. It is a calculated, predatory maneuver designed to trap Matt both physically against the opulent mahogany bar and psychologically within the confines of his own dark history. Cain is a man currently drowning in his own labyrinthine family traumas, reeling from the catastrophic revelations surrounding Jill Abbott and his own biological identity, and this profound internal chaos has sharpened his edges, turning him into a desperate, dangerous operator looking for any available leverage in his escalating wars. As Cain closes the distance, the air between them thickens with unspoken threats and historical animosity. Cain's eyes, cold and assessing, strip away Matt's carefully constructed facade of a reformed man, refusing to acknowledge the peaceful illusion Matt is so desperately trying to sell. Cain begins a relentless, probing interrogation, his voice low but laced with an unmistakable venom, demanding to know the true nature of Matt's current relationship with Victor Newman. Cain fundamentally rejects the narrative that Victor would ever simply release a dangerous asset like Matt without a hidden agenda, and he systematically dismantles Matt's defenses, digging into the raw, unhealed wounds of Matt's recent criminal associations. The interrogation is a masterclass in psychological warfare, with Cain using every ounce of his corporate ruthlessness to make Matt feel incredibly small, vulnerable, and entirely exposed. Beneath the aggressive questioning lies a far more insidious and dangerous proposition that sends a cold spike of pure terror through Matt's veins. Cain is not merely seeking information. He is actively calculating Matt's utility as a weapon. In the cutthroat war for dominance in Genoa City, Kane recognizes that a man with Matt's specific dark skill set and intimate knowledge of Victor's operations could be an invaluable, expendable asset. The unspoken offer hangs heavily in the tense air between them, an opportunity for Matt to switch allegiances, to become Kane's personal operative in a shadow war against the Newman Empire. For Matt, this proposition is a catastrophic nightmare, a violent gravitational pull threatening to drag him right back into the treacherous, blood-soaked underworld he promised Phyllis he had abandoned forever. The tragic irony of Matt's situation becomes agonizingly clear in this moment of entrapment. He is a man begging the universe for peace, yet he is only ever offered the tools of war. He realizes with a sickening clarity that in the eyes of men like Cain Ashby, he will never be a normal citizen. He will only ever be a blunt instrument, a loaded gun waiting to be picked up and fired by whoever possesses the strongest will. Matt attempts to deflect, clinging desperately to the image of Phyllis in his mind to keep himself grounded, but the psychological toll of Kane's cornering leaves him deeply shaken, his dreams of a fresh start cracking under the immense pressure of Genoa City's ruthless hierarchy. While Matt struggles to survive the suffocating pressure of Kane's ambitions, a completely different, far more volatile storm is brewing across town, centered entirely on the unraveling psyche of Adam Newman. Adam is currently operating as a walking powder keg, a man whose meticulously crafted, highly secretive machinations have just been brutally detonated by the one person he despises most. The revelation that Billy Abbott has aggressively exposed Adam's covert, highly sensitive deal with Sally Spectra regarding the acquisition of Newman Media has pushed Adam past the brink of rational thought. The exposure is not just a corporate setback, it is a profound, emasculating humiliation that strikes at the very core of Adam's deep-seated insecurities and his desperate need to outmaneuver his father's suffocating control. The venom coursing through Adam's veins is potent and blinding, a toxic cocktail of betrayal, rage, and a desperate, primal need for immediate retribution. Adam knows that directly attacking Billy Abbott in this highly volatile moment would only invite further designed or catastrophic scrutiny and potentially expose his deeper, treasonous alliance with Kyle Abbott to overthrow Victor. Unable to strike his true enemy without risking total annihilation, Adam's boiling fury demands a proxy, a lightning rod to absorb the sheer magnitude of his destructive energy. He needs a target that is vulnerable, deeply entangled in the Newman web, and entirely incapable of fighting back without risking their own fragile existence. This desperate need for a psychological punching bag puts Adam on a direct, violent collision course with Matt Clark. When their paths finally cross, the atmospheric shift is immediate and terrifying. Unlike Kane's calculated, probing corporate intimidation, Adam's approach is unhinged, radiating a raw, sociopathic malice that instantly triggers every survival instinct Matt possesses. Adam corners Matt with the ferocity of a wounded predator, his eyes completely devoid of empathy, projecting the entirety of his monumental failures, his hatred for Billy, and his deep-seated resentment toward his father directly onto Matt's shoulders. The encounter is less of a conversation and more of a brutal psychological dismantling, a ruthless display of power designed to completely break Matt's spirit. Adam unleashes a torrent of vitriol, his words acting as verbal shrapnel designed to shred Matt's illusions of a peaceful future. He mocks Matt's pathetic attempts at redemption, sneering at the idea that a woman like Phyllis Summers could ever truly wash away the indelible stain of Matt's inherent monstrosity. Adam demands absolute, unquestioning obedience, making it chillingly clear that Matt exists in Genoa City solely by the grace of the Newman family's tolerance. The threats Adam levels are not vague. They are highly specific, biblical promises of total destruction. He warns Matt that if he steps out of line, if he shows even a fraction of disloyalty, or if he fails to serve as a compliant pawn in whatever dark game Adam decides to play next, Adam will personally ensure that Matt's fragile new life is burned to the ground, leaving nothing but ash. The sheer brutality of Adam's psychological assault leaves Matt completely shattered, his internal world collapsing under the unbearable weight of these dual encounters. The suffocating reality of his existence crashes down upon him with devastating force. He is not a free man. He is a prisoner, trapped in an invisible, inescapable cage constructed by the tectonic plates of Genoa City's elite. Victor's omnipresent shadow, Kane's aggressive attempts to weaponize him, and Adam's explosive, unpredictable malice have formed a perfect, inescapable triad of psychological torment. Matt realizes that his desperate, clawing hope for a fresh start with Phyllis is nothing more than a beautiful, tragic delusion, a fragile glass house built in the center of a raging war zone. Every desperate promise he made to Phyllis, every vow to bury his dark instincts, now feels like a cruel joke played on him by a universe that refuses to let him change. The profound isolation of his predicament is agonizing. He cannot tell Phyllis about the immense pressure he is under without exposing the very darkness she is trying to help him escape. Yet he cannot survive the machinations of Kane and Adam without tapping into the ruthless, sociopathic survival skills that defined his past. He is being crushed slowly, his psyche fracturing under the impossible demand to be a saint in a city ruled by sinners, forced to navigate a minefield where a single wrong step will result in the total annihilation of the only love he has ever truly valued. As the shadows lengthen across Genoa City, Matt is left staring into the terrifying abyss of his own nature, feeling the cold, familiar embrace of the monster he tried so desperately to kill. The psychological suffocation has reached a critical mass, and the desperate, cornered animal within him is beginning to bare its teeth. He knows that to protect Phyllis, to survive the suffocating grip of Kane's ambitions and the explosive wrath of Adam's vengeance, he may have to become something far worse than he ever was before. As the fragile illusion of his redemption shatters into a million jagged pieces, a dark, chilling realization settles over him, leaving a horrifying, unanswered question echoing in the silence of his fractured mind. When the pressure finally breaks him and the monster is fully unleashed upon Genoa City once again, who will be the first to bleed?